Nightreign's new Deep of Night mode has introduced a new unique rarity and made it possible to find weapons that now have 3 passives, with 2 being good and the other being a curse. In this video, we will take a look at those new passives, also determining if some of those curses on those weapons are really that bad. Beginning with weapon curses, note that they can all stack with one another and all have +1 and +2 variations. We have reduced maximum HP, FP, and or stamina. Note that these are all separate curses. These usually aren't too bad to take for your character as they have minimal effect on your game. Impaired physical and or affinity damage negation increases your damage taken by either 6 or 8%. Impaired affinity damage negation is not too bad to take as not all attacks will apply these effects, unlike the impaired physical damage negation. Similar to the previous relic, there is an all resistances down curse, which decreases all status effect resistances by -30 or -40. This causes faster buildup of status effects, which when paired with other curses coming up, such as rot buildup, it could make your run a lot harder. Reduced flask HP restoration is pretty self-explanatory, and it has 2 variations. Next, we have continuous HP loss, which on its own isn't too bad in my opinion, but if you stack other curses that cause reduced attack or status effect buildups, this could be annoying. As well, damage negation or improved attack power at full HP wouldn't pair well with this curse at all, with this curse doing roughly 1.5 damage per second. We also have a curse related to the Night's Tide, with increased damage taken from the rain. This curse you could live with, especially closer to the end of Night 2, since there's no storm when fighting the Night Lord. However, it can be super annoying and almost impossible to grab ruins or something you left in the storm. This next one is a very interesting curse. It's called Damage Increased by Night's Encroachment, which increases damage taken by 1 or 2.5%, which stacks up to 4 times multiplicatively. The likely moments where these stacks are applied are the start of the day, when first circle closes, second circle begins closing, and when second circle closes. Do note, stacks reset after every night, or in other words, the start of a new day. So, when fighting the Night Lord, your stacks will be reset and you can't gain any while fighting them either, making it a pretty good choice late game. More damage taken after evasion. Although this curse sounds bad, the period of increased damage taken is for about a second after rolling, so not too bad. However, the curse repeated evasions reduces damage negation is a little worse, because if you roll 3 times in a small period of time, then you take 23 to 30% increased damage for 15 seconds. Another similar curse is reduced damage negation for flask usages. Again, this sounds worse than it is, as this reduced damage negation only applies while drinking your flask, which you should really only be doing while you're safe anyways. Lowered attack when below max HP. Although it says below max HP, it actually applies when below 85% HP. This is also the case for any curses that work below max HP. The damage decrease is 5 to 7% depending on if it's +1 or +2. Slower arc gauge when below max HP, again 85% HP. This decreases ult charging speed by 10 to 15%, which isn't detrimental since it is just an ultimate, but I personally like having my ultimate ready whenever I can. Rot or poison buildup when below max HP, remembering that it activates below 85% HP. Also, these are 2 different relic effects, I just put them together for simplicity's sake. 7 to 9 poison buildup and 6 to 8 rot buildup every second, depending on if it's +1 or +2. Similar to lower HP reduces damage negation, there's a curse that impairs damage negation with reduced stamina, giving you a debuff of 10 to 15% depending on if it's +1 or +2, while below 50% max stamina. So you will need to be a little careful with stamina usage with this curse. Attacks impaired on occasion has a 3 or 5% chance for your attack to do no damage, and this applies to any form of damage including your ultimate. This will make your attack do almost 1 damage. With the odds of it occurring being so low, it's not too bad to pick up. Elements cause increased damage. This increases the damage you take from status effects by 25 to 35%. On its own, this curse does nothing really, but if you have a relic that causes some type of buildup like poison or rot and it procs, you could die very quickly. Now if you somehow got continuous HP loss or reduced resistance to status effects, this could be an instant death. Near death reduces arc gauge. First, you need to understand that near death is just the game's way of saying when down with the purple bars. This curse causes you to lose 30 to 45% of your ult charge after being down. Another similar effect is near death reduces max HP. So after being down, you lose 15 to 20% of your max HP for 20 seconds, basically graying out that area of your health bar, making it unusable for that time. While on the topic of weapon passes, let's take a look at some new acquirable buffs on Deep of Night weapons before we move on to the specifics of the curses on Deep of Night relics. Most of these weapon passes we have seen before as dormant power or on relics and are now available on weapons, beginning with increased maximum HP, FP, and or stamina. These are the numbers on screen with its +1 and +2 variations. Not much to say with it being a pretty self-explanatory buff. Next, reduced FP consumption, which decreases FP cost of skills and spells by 9 or 13%. Improved stamina recovery by 3 or 5. Not much to be said for this buff. Physical attack up. This gives you an increase in physical damage of 5.5% or 8%, making it equivalent to beating an Everjail as a +1 and as a +2 being better than beating a Night Invader. Improved affinity attack power. It's the exact same as the previous relic effects, but now just focusing on damage increase from magic, fire, lightning, and or holy. Improved stance breaking. This buff increases your stance damage by 8 or 12% if it's a +1 or +2 variation. Improved physical damage negation or improved affinity damage negation both decrease damage taken by 9 or 13%, just differing on the damage type it reduces. All resistance is up, increases all status effect resistance by 55 or 65, making it take longer for status effects to build up. A good counter for status build-up curses. Improved poise decreases the poise damage taken by 20% or 33%. Improved sorceries and incantations increases spell damage by 5.5 or 8%. Looking at another similar relic, improved sorcery and incantation duration increases spell duration by 45 or 60%. Improved thrusting counterattack by 10 or 15%. A very good effect to pick up on Iron Eye especially. Increased flask HP restoration increases HP restoration by either 13 or 18%. Increased ruins from defeated enemies increases ruin gain per self by 6 or 9%. Finally, flask healing restores FP. Restore 20% of your max FP when drinking a flask. Definitely a good passive for Recluse and Revenant. For the rest of the new weapon passive, check out this video if you want to see the new buffs that activate in a specific character stance, such as charge attacks, precision aiming, shooting, and guarding with your staff. Moving on to the Deep of Night cursed relic effects. Do note that some of these curses are similar to the ones found on weapons in-game, but they may be better or worse than those found on weapons with different values associated with them. Starting with taking damage causes status buildup. Based on a status effect mentioned in your curse, you will take different amounts of status effect buildup. Taking damage inflicts 32 Death Blight, 40 Madness, 40 Sleep, 44 Bleed, 44 Rot, 44 Frostbite, and or 52 Poison buildup. Just a note for Executor players that Poison, Rot, and Frostbite do not trigger his ability Tenacity until the status is recovered. Next, we have Reduced Blank and Blank. There's 5 variations of this curse that should be on screen now, which all reduce the stat mentioned by 3. Reduced Ruin Acquisition decreases ruin gain by 10%. Personally, don't think you should take this, especially in higher tiers. Reduced Flask HP Restoration is a reduction of 15% HP gained on flask use. Ultimate Art Charge Impaired decreases ultimate charge gaining by 15%. All resistance is down, decreases every single status resistance by 80, so definitely stay away from this curse. Continuous HP loss decreases HP by 2 per second. More damage taken after evasion. Decreases damage negation by 45% right after rolling. Another similar one is repeated evasions lower damage negation, which causes a decrease of 35% for 15 seconds for roughly 3 repeat rolls in a short period of time. Reduced damage negation for flask usages. Decreases your damage negation by 45% while using flasks. Again, remembering this isn't too bad of a curse because it only applies while drinking the flask, which you should only do while you're safe anyways. Lower attack when below max HP. Decreases the damage you deal when below 85% max HP. Poison or rot buildup when below max HP. These are two different relic curses that act in the same manner. When below 85% HP, you're inflicted with 2 poison or rot buildup every 0.23 seconds. Finally, near death reduces max HP, which reduces your max HP by 15% for 60 seconds after being downed. Full spreadsheet for all of this will be linked below in the description. However, do note that the spreadsheets aren't entirely correct. So if there are discrepancies between this video and the spreadsheet, just know this video is right. I've spoken to someone who worked on the spreadsheet and they have provided me with the correct information, and any changes I find, I'll leave in the comments. As always, be sure to like and subscribe for more Nightreign guides.